Hey Picard, how's it going, man? Hey Frodo, welcome. Today's it's the first day of better microphones for the Amigos. So hopefully you should be able to tell a difference. Um, hey Edvin, welcome. Edvin, I hope you're settled into the man cave. Yeah, we've got actual real microphones. That's great, man. That's great.
Hi guys. What up, yo?
Okay, so
I'm my it says my health check's passed, but it keeps flashing up a message here about your VoIP something or another.
why don't you just try refreshing the page? Maybe that, or clicking on the invite again. Oh, wait a minute, it's saying that on my side too. Yeah.
Okay, I refreshed the page. All right, I'm just gonna. Your VoIP connection to boat of car has failed. Retrying.
I'll try refreshing on my side.
Because obviously I've done nothing.
And make sure I've got.
Man, but I was balls to the wall this week. I mean, this has been the busiest I've been for a long time. I didn't get to do all my usual paper work. Thankfully, I caught up, but geez.
What have you been up to this week? What's been going on?
Well, again, these hey, Roosh, these shorter weeks.
Hold on a second. Before you move on, put that microphone right in the middle of your face. It's a huge difference. Even when you said hi to Rushi, when it was right in front of your face, you sounded amazing. Then you turned away from it to speak. So yeah,
how's that?
Keep it right there all the time.
Possibly. There's nowhere I could go without being in front of my face. How's that?
Well, you see, you're slightly turning to your right. That's
what I. Yeah, but I mean, it's right. It's.
Trust me, man. I'm listening to you talk. Like, listen. This is me now. Watch. I'm going to slightly turn. You can hear the difference as I get closer and put the mic in front of my face.
I think you're missing my thing here. I'm not saying you're wrong. I've moved it right up on my face.
Okay. Yeah. So as long as you don't move your head, it's fine. I command you to never move your head again.
Well, okay. I'll try not to.
Okay. I apologize for interrupting your story. Continue, please.
It was a busy week. No one wants to hear about my crap. It was it was real busy. Busier than usual. Let me get this thing straightened up here.
Well, you're gonna get Luke back to school next week.
Not really. He's gonna be sitting right there where he's been sitting.
Oh, you're not sending him back to school?
No, I'm not. I'm not sending him.
Okay, I think you actually need to. Hold on a second. Let me monitor the levels again. Give me a hardy ho.
Hardy ho, 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 ho.
Okay, I'm not convinced that was your hardiest ho.
Ho, ho.
Okay, that was pretty hardy. Okay, let's get this. I need to download an application that allows me to keep any window always on top.
They've got to have something like that out there.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there is.
Hey Hermsky.
What's going on, guys?
I haven't got to say hi to everybody. Mitz, Frodo.
Thanks for the hyper slam, Mitsuyama. I don't know what that is.
Amiga 1200 gamer. Hey, I'm one of those. L. Curtis Boyle. He set you up yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah. Edvin? I asked Curtis. I had a feeling that this would happen.
Yeah, Picard, of course.
A couple hours before I started my stream, I sent Curtis a message. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be streaming some Coco tonight. Send me a list of your favorite games. I come back with 9 full pages of games from Curtis. He listed every single one of his favorite Coco games that he's ever played ever. And
I haven't got to watch just a little brief moment of it. What was that doomy looking game you were playing? Was that on the Coco too?
Yeah, that was a Nick Morantes thing, I think.
Jeez, that looked. I couldn't believe how good that looked.
Yeah. It was very evocative of things, of life.
What? What? Okay.
Hey guys, how do our audio levels sound? Are we sound pretty even?
This reminds me of my old DJ days, man. I had the gimmick.
It's so funny that we both have spent time. I never worked at the WMUL, but because I didn't go to Marshall, but all my buddies did, and so I spent a lot of time in that place.
Hey, Duke.
You know, they didn't care what you did over there. You could just go. You could roll in there. We rolled in there the day after Christmas, and we broadcasted all day long, and we played whatever we wanted. Nobody cared.
Boy, it wasn't like that when I was there. They were really strict to adhere to a certified playlist.
Yeah,
we did stuff off the AP. I was pulling stuff off the ticker. We played stuff on reel to reel and vinyl.
Yeah, people. I think people just had given up on even by that was probably like
Jason?
2000 or 2001. People had already given up on radio as a viable format by then.
Radio is still a viable format. It's outstanding. You got to have radio. You know, it's the one thing
Curtis.
that everyone's got. You know, and it's like it's the original Twitter.
No, that's what.
Yeah, I mean, if you need to get a message out to everyone, it's
yeah. How are you going to do that sitting at home with your radio?
You're in the car.
How are you going to get a message out to everybody? You personally.
I'll give you an example. I listened to an old radio show yesterday.
You didn't answer my question.
Well, I'm going to. I'm answering it like with this little story.
Okay.
So this kid this mom went to a pharmacy. They were passing through, and the kid had an upset tummy. And the pharmacist was going to mix them up something to help his tummy. Well, his wife of the pharmacist inadvertently gave this chick the wrong medicine. It was heart medicine. It would have killed the kid if he'd taken it, right? So they're on the road, right? So what's the only way they could get hold of this kid? There's no cell phones and that crap. Radio. They get on the horn, and they interrupted the local broadcast that would transmit for miles and miles because it's AM and put out the APB that this kid don't take the medicine, kid, you're gonna get killed. You know, so that's sort of where I was going.
Okay, first, I mean, you'll recognize that story is completely ridiculous, even back then for radio drama. That's it's far fetched, but for today,
it did work in the story.
But for today, I mean, the chances of anybody listening to AM radio as they pick their kid home from the pharmacist, low. I mean, Twitter is a two-way street. Radio is a one-way. You know, Twitter or radio is it's like television. You know, it's not interactive.
Well, I mean, yeah, I was being cute when I said that. I wasn't prepared to defend my position here, Bo.
Okay.
But all that said, listen, AM radio gets more action than you think. For starters, there's a lot of places where you don't get FM very well, and you'll get AM because AM will travel. And then secondly, the AM is where all your a lot of your talk radio guys are still hanging out there.
Well,
Not
yeah,
everybody
I mean,
has a big FM station.
AM still definitely has a place, but I think that before satellite radio became a thing, it was that you had more of a case. But yeah, I mean, Rush and Glenn Beck and all those guys they're still hanging out on the AM.
How many people actually have that satellite radio, though? I mean, if you compare it to the numbers of just regular radio, it's got to be a tiny percentage.
You're comparing it the wrong way. You have to compare the amount of people that would listen to AM radio versus the number of people that have satellite radio. Because most of the people that have satellite radio are people that would be in your category of people where FM stations wouldn't reach. Your long haul truck drivers, people that drive out in the sticks all the time, those types of people.
All that said, I never listen to AM radio. So there you go. I listen. If I can help it. Of course, on my drives, I just always have. I think this is pretty much the big winner. Everyone's got some kind of gimmick in their car to listen to music or whatever. They don't have to listen to the radio.
Right.
When I was growing up, their radio was this huge. We all listened to radio, and in fact, we would a lot of times. Me and my buddies would listen to the same shows. We even talk about what was on the show, like what music they were playing. This is the recorded off the radio with a tape era.
Yeah. I mean, this is 30, 40 years ago. That's the way the things were. It was a different time. I recorded stuff off the radio all the time. I recorded full baseball games for reasons that I can't fathom today.
Do you still have those?
Somewhere. I've got a big box full of tapes.
You'd be surprised that kind of stuff is sort of in demand occasionally. I don't know. You're as young as you are. since you're so young, so much younger, probably that stuff's all
Nobody
been
wants to
recorded.
listen to the 1992 Reds. I can tell you that.
That's when they were good. That's exactly when you want to listen to them. And Chris Sabo and Pete Rose and all those guys. That was great.
Yeah, I think
Pete Rose
think
was gone
Pete
in
Rose was
92,
gone
wasn't
by
he?
92.
Yeah. He built that team, Boat.
Well, him and the rest of the Big Red Machine, Joe Morgan,
So,
Johnny
he
Unitas.
actually helped build the championship team. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
he actually was the player coach.
Yeah,
at
he was
the time.
that was I think that's got to be the only time that a player coach has taken a team to the World Series.
He didn't take him to the World Series. That was Piniella.
Oh, you're right. When was he player coach? Was it the next year?
I think Piniella took over and won it in his first year, I think.
Okay.
If it wasn't his first, it was his second.
Pete Rose
he had
was
the
the
same
player
guys.
manager in 89, and then Piniella, Sweet Lou in 90.
I liked Lou.
Oh, yeah.
I liked his tantrums.
Yeah.
Although Pete Rose would throw a pretty good tantrum, too.
Sweet Lou was the Earl Weaver of the 90s.
He was more violent. I mean, he was the one that dug the bases up and threw them. I love that. But the Reds had that awesome pitching staff and the awesome closers. Like and of course they had good hitters too, but they had a really good pitching staff back in those days. It's sad that we are waxing on such a brief moment in Reds history for us, because our lifetimes they pretty much stunk.
It's the only time in my history, well, I guess, with the exception of last season, that a team that I've been a fan of actually won it all. Because, growing up, I was a fan of the Reds. I didn't really have any football leanings, but, the Bengals were always the local team, but they were horrible.
Stunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were horrible.
And then I switched my allegiance to the Redskins in the early 2000s, and that was a litany of horror, just a freak show year after year.
And that continues unabated.
Yeah.
They suck. Everything about them sucks.
But I did sort of shift my fandom from the Reds to the Nats when I moved to DC, and last year the Nats did win the World Series, so I guess the streak is over as far as my teams being horrible, but now I just don't care about sports. So
to put it in perspective, I had no idea who won the World Series last year, and I was one of the biggest baseball fans. I loved baseball back in the day, but they angered me just enough over a series of a decade.
I've just got too much other stuff to do. Back in the day when there was nothing else to do, you could throw on a ball game, and that was the height of entertainment. But now, I mean, there's whatever you want is right at your fingertips.
Yeah, you're right, man. I agree with you on that.
Well, we got a good gang. How is our I'm using just a little inside baseball, to use an American idiom.
I like it. I like what you did there.
I'm using a new encoder for our stream today. This is something that Aaron found out about. It is the NVMC, I believe is what it's called, encoder. And this is using my GPU to do the encoding and leaving the CPU to do other tasks. So we're just trying it out to see if the stream is any more smooth. It won't help our connection issues, that's for sure. But
it will help them if your CPU is being overwhelmed.
Yeah, but that's not that. I never have.
Well, this is your new Ultra machine, so it's right. Unlikely in any event.
Right. But I mean, this would have definitely been helpful, for example, at Amigathon when we were playing Brent's videos and all that stuff. And
that's what I was thinking about. Yeah, man.
Plus, I had those Windows updates to download. That didn't help anything either. So.
Oh man, those things. I hate them. So the new computer's running pretty good.
Yeah. So far, so good. Nothing is blown up yet. I downloaded Microsoft Flight Simulator and played with it for a couple hours. Then
no kidding.
Got super bored. I'm just not cut out for modern games.
Well, that's the thing about Flight Simulator. I mean, it looks great, and I can see the appeal, but you could sort of do the same thing, just like screwing around with Google Maps.
Right. In fact, what I did, they have a drone function.
Yeah.
And after a while, I got tired of just flying the plane because I couldn't go where I wanted. And I kept accidentally crashing the plane because I would put too much stress on it. And so I just got out in the drone and I flew around it, and I was like, hey, I could do the same thing in higher resolution if I just use the Google Maps flyover thing. And so that's what I did.
But I mean, still, it's a remarkable bit of kit that what they've done with it. It's quite amazing.
Oh, yeah. I went through a phase. This will shock you. I almost spent $300 or $400 on the yoke and the control sticks and the multiple buttons, the real buttons you can use.
You're gonna get like all the monitors and stuff and do that.
Yeah, I went through a phase. It was about a 20-minute phase where I had my finger was hovering on the buy button. but I held off.
Jeez, Bo. Oh, yeah, good for you, man. You don't need that.
No.
My God.
No.
That's. I know how you are.
I had 200 billion times more fun playing Coco last night than I did playing Flight Simulator. I can tell you.
Well,
that.
you know the funny thing is, Bo. I think you're coming around, man. Because normally you'd have bought that thing the second it was available. You'd have bought it, but now you actually gave this some thought.
I feel like you're being a positive influence on my life.
That can't be it. That can't be it. But I think it just maybe I burn you 16 times. Shame on you. I think it's more like that. I think you've got it figured out.
Hermsky, Aaron claims that he's turned off autofocus, so we can't bug him about it anymore, even though the camera continues to focus on its own.
I haven't moved.
It keeps focusing in and out.
Guys, I'm telling you, there's nothing set. It's turned off. It could be a lighting thing or something. I've got the lights on full blast, So I don't know what else I could do.
I don't know either.
Really, I shouldn't be in focus. This is for the good of the nation. Part of the problem is it's the way you pick up my image. It looks like crap because of the way you do it. There's nothing like that's got nothing to do with me either.
Yeah, I mean, we could. I can't remember why we went to that in that direction.
It's because the image was blowing up on us.
Oh, well, no, it wasn't that.
Because of our connection issues.
It was introducing some audio lag. That's what it was. It would sound like I would answer questions before you asked them. Remember that old deal?
I don't, but I believe you.
Okay.
I wouldn't have noticed that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't bother us because we don't hear it, but for some reason the people on the stream heard it, and so that was the thing. Yeah, it could
be my little face right here. Maybe the thing thinks that's. Maybe if I do a little of that. Maybe that. Yeah. Maybe it thinks that's me.
It's odd how much of your computer screen in front of you is reflected on your flesh. Like, literally, when things flash on your screen, you turn various shades of magenta.
Yeah. I've got a lot of.
What do you have going on over there that's flashing on and off like that?
Well, I'm going to move this mic for a second. Let me turn this off. See if this helps. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
I mean, that helps tremendously. Now you look like a person again.
The illusion is complete. We got a lot of stuff in the old ticker this week to go over on the old YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm looking here where we left off. Let me see here. Yeah, so we've got several things here. So we should be good to go there, and I'm sure you've got quite a bit of news. So
now, I want to ask you something real quick. When you're recording with Brent, you use the NDI plugin, right?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I would like us to look as good as we can. Uh-oh. I just had I think it's maybe my mouse is you're still with me, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay. I think maybe my mouse is died.
Good timing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I need to replace the battery in my mouse. I'm glad that we didn't start the show yet. I'll be right back.
Okay. Excuse me, fellas. Yeah, we do need a cure. That's for darn sure. Yeah, I like to Vaseline up the camera a little bit, Curtis, before I do my thing. So that's part of it there. Hey, no, thank you, Rob, by the way. No Amigo Aaron Friday night live stream this evening. I forgot that I've got company that's going to be in town, so that will be moved down the line. For any of you that are into that. Gosh, I can't even remember what I did last week. Odyssey 2. That's right. That was fun. I think we're going to do... I found all my 3DO discs, so the next time I do a live stream, it will be 3DO. That'll be a good time. 3DO, underappreciated. Yeah, maybe not. Somewhere in the middle. But you remember when we played all that 3DO a couple years ago?
Yeah. I used to come over to your house like every Sunday, and we'd play like 3 hours of random stuff.
That was awesome.
That was when Eep was back in Thailand, and I was a free man.
Well, you're way better off now.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Because now you're a man with someone sensible running the ship.
That's true. That's true.
I got nothing like that over here. It's just we're heading for the falls.
So, how is Luke taking the prospect of not going back to school and seeing his buddies?
I don't think he cares.
He's already over it. He's over social relationships.
Well, no, obviously not. But trust me, it's hurting me. I've talked about this so much. It makes me. The whole thing makes me sad. I feel like I'm doing the right thing, but then I often feel like I'm being a bad dad, doing a bad thing, and it sucks. I hate being put in this position. It just blows. I'm not good enough at this job to be making these decisions. So, but in the interest of safety, we're going to keep him home for the first 9 weeks and see how it goes. The state still, they're dragging their feet on trying to tell us what we're supposed to be doing. So I guess we'll find out eventually.
Yeah.
You start up Monday, don't you? Or is it next? No, it's a week from Monday.
From Monday. I go back to school personally for the first time on Monday. Teachers were back all this past week, but since I was recovering from surgery, I did not go back. I thought I had
how's all your downstairs equipment and your everything in your gut and everything? How's that all doing?
Yeah, I went back to the doctor today, and she was like, "Yeah, everything's healing fine. Just don't overexert yourself." And I was like, "Don't worry about it."
So that hasn't happened for decades.
Yeah, and so that was. Oh, check this out. So Eep is getting a sauna tent. Have you ever seen one of these things before? Let me pull this up on the screen. Hold on a second. By the way, is Larry already here?
He'll be here in probably next 20 minutes or so, but they're not going to bother us while we're doing our thing.
Where's my...
Yeah, Curtis, that's sort of what they've talked about doing here when it gets bad, but I don't understand the point of it, to be honest with you. Mick, if you're going to be in person and then occasionally not be in person, it seems like that doesn't really make that much of a difference. But I could be wrong. I'm no expert.
It makes a huge difference. If you can have class 2 or 3 days a week, that is infinitely better than being out of class 5 days a week. I mean, the amount of learning that you do at home, I mean, in whatever subject it is.
You've misunderstood me. I'm not talking about for learning purposes. I agree fully. I'm talking about for the safety aspects of it. I wonder about.
Yeah,
now, if they're going to cut the class sizes down, that's different.
Yeah, I don't think that anybody is even pretending that keeping kids. Well, the thing of it is it's you can't fit all the kids at once in the classrooms in the schools that we have.
Yeah,
that's the main problem. Check this out, Aaron. Maybe you would be interested in a sauna tent.
Oh my God.
I can just imagine you settling in with CBS Mystery Radio Theater. You got the latest issue of Retro Gamer in your hand. What's in her other hand there? That's the detonator.
What is that for exactly, Bode?
Well, you know about saunas, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a sauna. You put yourself in that, and it gets real hot.
Okay.
And you just chill. Well, you don't because it's hot.
What's the point?
Well, saunas have lots of health benefits.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so you get in there, and it like when you sweat, all your pores open up, and it heals lots of like muscle aches, and there are lots of health benefits. You can ask the Finns. I think if Lobsterminator's in here, I think Finland is the sauna capital of the world. They're wild about them over there.
You know, it reminds me of. I was flipping to Facebook, and I saw this thing for excuse me. It was like a hat. It looked like a big hat, right? And what it was the hat. You'd put the hat on, and then it had curtains, and it would just go, and it would cover you, right? So picture you in a big, like, wide brim hat, like a coolie, and you're surrounded by curtain, right?
Yeah.
So what's it for? It's a portable freaking latrine. Is what it is.
Okay.
You know, and so it comes with like a little bucket that you set on, effectively. Mm-hmm. So you basically put the bucket, you'd sit down, you put your hat on. You hit the thing.
You need to crank down the task cam some.
Crank it down the task cam.
I knew as soon as you got riled up talking about portable toilets, things would go awry. This was just a test that I needed.
I just want to. I recorded myself and fooled around with the settings on this thing, and it sounded perfect.
Well, it's because you don't get as fired up when you're by yourself. When you're talking to somebody like me,
I screamed at it. I was like, "Ah!"
It's your P's.
Right.
It's your P's.
How's that?
Well, give me a P's popping.
You told me not to use the popper. The
popper won't help. All the popper does is puts artificial distance between you and the thing.
Peter picked peppers by the pea pour.
Now, give me do it as plosively as you did before.
What did I say?
Portable toilet.
Ow! Right in the kisser.
Yeah. Okay. You're good. You're good. All right. So,
yeah,
I think
good one, Frodo. I wish I'd thought of that.
I think we're ready to start the show. So, to probably get that. All right, I'm going to start. Do you have anything else you'd like to say before we start?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I'm ready to go.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start Zencaster. And go ahead and just talk a little bit.
Hello. I'm
okay.
Mr. Ed.
Yeah, Zencaster is not picking you up.
Okay. It says here, you're all done. That's probably why.
I think you go into your Zencaster settings and make sure that you have the correct microphone.
No. It said the recording was done.
I know.
Is what it said.
You were there. I think the wrong microphone was selected.
Nope, it was, and I already said that. But I'll restart it.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to send me another thing.
Okay.
All right, here we go. It's running health checks.
Okay, now it's good. Whatever was wrong before was wrong, but now it's good because whenever you talk, I see the line move.
All right.
Okay, so I'm going to start Zencaster. Oh, I can't. Okay. All right, now we're good to go. Go ahead and give me a hello one more time just to make sure.
Hello, one more time.
All right, good. Okay, and now we will go to blank screen. I will hit record. Support the Amigos podcast on Patreon or PayPal and receive cool perks and rad swag. Visit our page at everythingamiga.com/support.
Amiga, the first personal computer that gives you a creative edge.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today, Aaron, we are going to be talking about Roadkill. Aaron, do you have any good Roadkill stories?
Well, probably about 10 years ago, I remember hearing that they'd passed a law here that it was legal to stop your car, pick up roadkill off the side of the road, and take it home and eat it. How's that? That's a pretty good one.
Have you personally ever done that?
God, no. And not just because it's gross, but because there's nothing that you can hit with your car that I necessarily want to eat.
So you're not one of these people.
I hit a chicken one time.
You don't enjoy eating the fruit of the forest, as it were.
Well, I do. No, I've had deer, for example.
So that is definitely an example of roadkill.
Right. And yeah, around here, it depends on who's going to get killed. I've hit a deer before, but it grazed him. He was okay. It's like the chicken. But I know people that have not had their cars totaled, from hitting the deer. There's deer everywhere in these parts, as you know. But no, I don't eat coon or squirrel or I suppose you could hit a turkey or something. There's plenty of wild turkey. I've had that before, so obviously. But what about you?
Yeah, I've had most of your roadkill, although I've never had possum. Possum you see quite often here on the side of the road. But I've never eaten possum, but I have had, I've had squirrel, had deer. I remember eating squirrel that my dad had shot and finding pellets in it. The lead, the lead pellets from the shotgun.
That can't be healthy
in there. So you just spit those out. Bing!
Yeah. That's so gross. How much meat is in a squirrel? I always wondered that.
Well, it's sort of like eating frog's legs,
No, I mean I don't want to do that either.
Well,
that sounds gross.
There's not a whole lot of meat, but the meat is I don't know. It's there. You eat it with a frontier spirit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what I did.
I assumed frogs, leg, and squirrel is like chicken wings, like the little ones, where you eat like 50 of them or whatever. Maybe it's like that.
Well, squirrel's got more meat on it than that. Because you can eat more of the squirrel. I mean, you can eat like more different parts of it, and you're not going to eat like squirrel hands.
What are you eating? Squirrel eyes?
No,
squirrel
but
brains?
like there's like the whole like torso part has got meat on it.
Uh-huh.
Around the ribs and all that.
Squirrels are cute, and deer are cute. No one hunts like turkey vultures, for example. But those, you could kill those. You don't have to feel bad. I'd feel bad if I shot a deer. They're beautiful, natural creatures.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I don't got a problem with it. Disclaimer. But I personally could not do it. I don't think I could shoot anything. I'd feel bad. I'd feel guilty.
Well,
also I can't hit nothing.
Yeah, I have more problems with the aspects around the hunt than the actual hunting itself. The getting up early, the being out in the cold in the woods, not being able to talk. That's no good. Yeah.
Being bored, sitting out there in a dumb outfit.
Yep.
On top of a tree.
Probably fall out of my tree stand.
Yeah.
Not good.
How many hunters get killed every year out there screwing around?
A ton.
And the people around here know what they're doing. So if they're out there getting killed, what would happen to me?
Right.
I'd be dead a million times.
Well, it's unfortunate that today's Amiga game is not about the art of killing animals with your automobile. But we'll get into that momentarily. At first, though, Aaron, things have been really going off the charts on our YouTube channel this week. I can't recall any previous week that has had so many releases. Why don't we take a look and see what's been going on over at youtube.com/Amigos Retro Gaming.
Yeah, we had an interesting, I'd say a very diverse week, Boat, in what we got put up here. So let's start off with last week's ARG Presents.
Okay.
Me and the Brent got together and played some Laserdisc arcade games, Boat. This was our second go around. It spun on the Retro Rewind, but we picked better games this time around. I picked Mach 3, and Britt picked a very interesting title called Interstellar Laser Fantasy. And Mach 3 is probably my favorite laser game. So we had a good time with those. If you're into Laserdisc games, I think it's worth your time to watch. I found it interesting, and like I said, Interstellar Laser Fantasy's got an awesome name. That sounds like a band right there. And then it's an interesting looking title. I'd say it's very intriguing looking. Have you played either one of those, by the way?
No. This reminds me of that. What is that other game that's more popular? That has it's a shooter, but it's got different videos playing in the background. Vegas Battle? Is that it?
Vegas Battle. I don't know if it's more popular. Yeah, I guess it is more popular now that you say it. Yeah, it is. This is like Vegas Battle, but like way, way better, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worth a look.
Yeah, absolutely. This looks really cool. I haven't had a chance to listen to this one yet because I haven't had a commute in a while since I've been recovering from surgery, but I plan on catching up next week as I venture back to school.
And Mach 3 was real good, too. I had I guess it was last Friday, I did one of my usual Friday night stream, and what it was going to be was my Odyssey 2 and my Childhood Odyssey boat. Well, the Childhood Odyssey went belly up right before the show.
Yeah.
But I still managed to put together a front end for Odyssey 2 games, and we still played a ton of Odyssey 2 on that show using CoinOps Next and had a real good time. So if you're interested in seeing some of the more obscure and not so obscure Odyssey 2 titles, it's worth your time to check out that stream. Now, Boat, this has been an interesting thing you've gotten up to here. Talk to us about your unboxing of the Atari 2600 stuff here.
Yeah, so I've got I've got a big shelf full of Atari 2600 Activision games. I really love these games. I love the way that they look. And plus, they represent really the best of the best in terms of the Atari 2600 library. So I thought, why not take a couple off the shelf and see what's inside of them? Because a lot of these games, I bought off eBay 15 years ago, and I've never opened. They've just sat in their boxes. And so Mega Mania is one of those games. I guarantee you I've never opened this thing up before. So I talk a little bit about, like, if there's a price tag on it, like this one's got a Sears price tag on it. We go through all of the documentation. If there are any catalogs or anything like that, we talk about those. And then we wind things up by playing the game. So I play 5 or 6 minutes of Mega Mania and show it off. So this is something that I started doing with the ZX Spectrum, but I think I'm going to expand to include all of my boxed games, because I have so many boxed games down here at Amigo Studios. Why not open them up, show what's inside, and play them?
I think it's a great idea, and I'm gonna rip you off eventually, because
it's hardly an original idea, so don't feel like you have
you're
to
the
ask
first
me for
man that's
permission.
ever done that, and I'm going to be ripping you off because I've got tons of box stuff up here too. A lot of it I got in that deal we did with the Discord in California, and then some stuff I've picked up along the way. And it's a great way to utilize your physical collection.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I can go that route. So I think it's a great idea. So yeah, I think that's awesome. And it's funny, friends of mine saw this on Facebook, and I had a couple of my friends that aren't really into classic computers or anything, and they were like, "Oh, Mega Mania, I love that game." So yeah, that was clearly a popular choice.
It's funny. It's funny how many people there are that, especially of your age, that had a 2600, and that was the beginning and the end of their gaming. You know.
Yeah, it is. It is strange. Or they came back to it. Like my buddies are all into Steam now.
Yeah.
You know. So, I thought that was a good choice. Here's a not good choice. Here's another week where we dip into the Amigathon, and this time it's the part of the Amigathon 2020 where the Brent somehow hacked your stream and took over to show several hideous games that he commentates over. And I will say this did surprise me when it happened. I guess you had talked to him about it, but I had no idea.
Yeah, so we kept this as a secret, purposefully from you. And I really enjoyed this segment because it was much different than all the other Amigathon segments. We didn't go out of our way to play anything bad, and that's all Brent did in his initial BAD segment. You never know, maybe that moniker will make a return someday.
Oh, goody.
And
I
this
can't wait
does
for that.
come to an end. This is the final segment in the Amigathon. So if you're waiting to catch up on all of the Amigathon footage at once, you can just go to the Amigathon 2020 playlist on YouTube, and you will find it all here now.
Wow. What a way to end it.
Yeah.
Good Lord. So, speaking of ending something, just popped out yesterday, the final in the trilogy of the August 2020 Ask the Amigos shows. It's funny, I fell asleep, and this just came on my playlist somehow. And so I woke up about halfway through it. And I can tell you something. When you wake up hearing yourself talk about stories that only you know, it is very surreal. I can tell you that right now. It was a very weird moment. But if you enjoy these Ask the Amigos, there you go. Again, another one. We really had a load of questions in August. That's the most we've ever had by a long shot, wasn't it, Boat?
Yeah. And September is shaping up to be the same. So we will probably record a new Ask the Amigos next week and release it in that same 3 or 4 part format over the course of September.
A good way to go, I think. So let's talk about our buddy Rob Flack O'Hara. It's great that Rob has brought his Sprite Castle shenanigans onto the channel, because it adds a very cool element of C64 coverage that we were not lacking, but just not getting a whole lot of it. And Rob is all up in it. And this time around, as if channeling my inner thoughts, he plays a bunch of different versions of C64 Donkey Kong. Boat.
This is a stream that's right up your alley.
Yeah. I was amused by it. Of course, Rob's antics are always hilarious. And one thing about the C64, I mean, listen, I tip my hat to any computer that had 3 or 4 different versions of the same game released.
Now, wait a minute. Look at this. Look at this version right here. Listen up, Donkey King fans. Your days are numbered, because this thing has all the girders, and Kong is on the right side.
Did you have to go, why do you always pick on the poor Coco people?
Because, man, they're all about Donkey King being the best home version, and then if you give them any lip, they point to the transcode, which doesn't even count. It's not even a real game. This
to be fair,
is where it's
they
at
do
right
have,
here. This is
the
where it's
transcode
at.
does count.
I don't know what
one.
version of Donkey Kong this is for the C64, but it is a looker, and it is a player.
I don't remember ever hearing anyone, except for maybe myself, say that Donkey King was the best 8-bit Donkey Kong ever.
Listen, man, you're not talking to enough Coco people, that's for sure.
Yeah, are you kidding me? Anyway, if you want to see various versions of Donkey Kong that will be covered on Flack's Sprite Castle podcast. This is the show for you. I should mention that the newest version of You Don't Know Flack also dropped today, where he talks about karate. So I can't wait to hear that one. I just started it in the car. Lastly, Boat, why don't you give us a tip? Give us the heads up. What did you and Retro Man Cave, a.k.a. Neil, talk about on This Week in Retro this week?
Yeah, this week our main story was the return of Crash Magazine. We talked about that. We talked about the new retro gaming documentary on Netflix. I think it's called High Score. There is a new Dreamcast Year 2 Kickstarter book that is just wound up, and a couple other odds and ends. So another great week on This Week in Retro. If you haven't checked it out yet, you can find it on all your favorite podcatchers, and you can listen to the headlines on our YouTube channel.
This week's show, we had a lot of discussion about it in the Discord, particularly about the High Score documentary. So yeah, but good stuff. I enjoyed this one quite a bit. That's all we got, Boat.
All right. Well, you know what it's time for.
God. Every week.
All right, Aaron. Our first story this week for the Amiga News is there is a new gadget for the Amiga. This is something called the SD2 Parallel for the Amiga. This comes to us from Arananet, which this guy makes a ton of awesome stuff.
That's the guy that did the Amiga, by the way, Edu,
right?
Eduardo. Oh yeah,
his name is Eduardo, right? Is that right?
He goes by Edu most of the time, Edu, and so I don't know. I can't remember his name. Is Eduardo, Edward? I'm not sure. Call him Edu.
Okay. This little device allows you to easily transfer files from your computer to the Amiga using a simple micro SD card. So this is not something that is going to replace the GoTech, as far as I can tell, right, Aaron? This is a file moving tool only. This is not going to run like ADF files. Is that correct?
This is actually pretty. From what I was told, what I read, this is pretty awesome. It's a whole different device than the GoTech,
right? In
a lot of ways. This hooks into your port in the back that every Amiga's got, and this effectively will give your Amiga SD support and for all intents and purposes. And I believe that when you insert the disk of this thing, it will come up on your workbench just like you would, just like a removable storage device, and you could actually get in there and mess with it. Pretty nice if you've got, say, a 500 or a something that doesn't have any sort of way to get an SD card in there, and they're also cheap. So I mean, it's quite a little product here. Everyone's pretty excited about it. I believe he sold them all, if I'm not mistaken. So one thing about Edu's stuff is that he makes a crap out of it, and then it goes. He doesn't make that many, and he sells them at a price. I mean, you got to give the guy credit. In a day where we were just talking about pricing last week, that guy sells this stuff for almost give it away prices, which. That's a rarity in any field, not just computers. But this right here, a great little item. I've heard nothing but high praise for at least the concept of it. So we'll see when more of these get out in the wild. But yeah, I was pleased, and a lot of people are real excited about it.
Now, Aaron, we've monitored this on and off since it was first announced, but I'm proud to announce that finally, Tiny Bobble has been released in its final form. Tiny Bobble is the remake of the arcade game Bobble for the Amiga. Of course, the Amiga already has a really excellent port. This just makes things a little bit more arcade quality in terms of the frame rate, the colors used, and I, as somebody who's grown to appreciate Bobble more in recent months as we've had it on our Amigos High Score competition, I am going to check this thing out. I haven't had a chance to do it yet, but it runs silky smooth, and the extra colors are a big help. And this is not an AGA deal. This will run, I believe, on let's see, it will run on any Amiga, I'm pretty sure. So big props to this guy, Pink and Fade One. They've released Tiny Bobble for the Amiga.
Very good. Yeah, it looks great. It looks really good.
Next up, Aaron, Tenmark's got a new video. This one, I consider 3D printing to mostly just be a hobby that people have when they run out of other hobbies, and they're like, well, maybe I'll get into 3D printing so I can do some crap. Well, this is the first thing that I've ever seen that made me think, man, maybe there actually is a point to all this nonsense. There is Doug, this in his latest video, he shows off a plethora of really neat items that he's either 3D printed or I think people have 3D printed these for him. And he goes through, there's all kinds of different covers, different adapters that you can place on various Amigas. Have you watched this one, Aaron?
I did. It's funny because I sort of hassled Doug about last week's show with the Amiga. And then this thing came up and I'm like, what is this? And this is a gimmick show right here. And so I was getting ready to mock him again. And then I leave it to Doug. This show's darn good. I mean, I never would have thought of half the stuff that was 3D printed in this. It's quite brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, everything from mounting brackets to like covers for your
the thing that was the coolest thing for me that I saw was the Zorro card thing. The thing that pops onto the Zorro card that allows you to mount things sideways on there. That's awesome. That's incredible.
Basically it's a locking mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and I've heard tale of people that had problems with those little cards wiggling out of there. That's a high levels of design went into coming up with that. This is great stuff. And the fact that Doug has all this stuff on hand it was very impressive.
Yeah,
so
I'm right there with you. I came into this video very skeptical.
Yeah,
and I came out of it thinking, man, there's some really neat stuff that you can 3D print for the Amiga.
Well, the 3D printing game, I know those guys are clever because I've got one toe in the pinball world, and they use the 3D printing stuff to do a lot of stuff in the pinball zone. So I'm not terribly surprised that they came up with some good stuff here. But a lot of the stuff in this video I would never have thought of. So for what that's worth, kudos.
And finally this week, Aaron, speaking of Gotex, there is some competition for the Gotek that has just been released by our own Simulant. Fan of the show, Simulant, in his shop has released the floppy disk drive USB emulator OpenFlops. OpenFlops is a floppy emulator, much like the Gotek, but it expands upon what the Gotek can do with other cooler stuff. I think that the big takeaway from this is this board allows you to emulate 2 drives at once, which is something that the Gotek, of course, can't do. The thing that I like about this thing is that they've kept the same form factor as the Gotek drive. So if you have a 3D printed case, or if you've altered your Amiga in some way, say you've hacked the back of your Amiga 500 off to accommodate it, no problem. You can stick this thing in there and it will not take up any more or less space than you had when you had the Gotek in there. This thing is available for £20, which I think is pretty reasonable. And all of the accoutrement that you can outfit a Gotek with, such as a LED display or a one of those rotary encoder things, you can hook all that same stuff up to the OpenFlops.
I've got the rotary thing and the little screen for my 1200, and they're great. This is awesome though. It's funny, the Amiga you could have a couple drives in it, and it does come in handy. Occasionally to have a couple floppy drives, especially on the rare instance, for example, that you're trying to load something that supports multiple drives on the Amiga. That's great. Great. And also, he's a great guy. I mentioned him a couple weeks ago. He's the one that sent me the serial port modem that I'm trying out, the Wi-Fi modem. So. That's awesome, and I hope he does well with it. I have a feeling he'll do very well.
Yeah, and Simulant's a good guy at heart, too. 50p of every sale goes to help support the Center for Computing History over in Cambridge, which I'd love to get to one of these days. He was
also the fellow that was behind those really impressive keyboards that were based on various computers.
That's right.
Keep that on your radar, because I believe he's going to be bringing that back in some capacity sometime in the near future.
Awesome. All right, Aaron. And of course, we can't miss out on the biggest news stories of this week. Happy birthday to Rob Flack O'Hara. Happy birthday to Ed Van Helen, drinking his beer in the old man cave. And of course, happy birthday to Big A. You finally did it, man. It's the big 5-5. Congratulations.
No, it's not the big 5-5 boat. Yeah, I will kill you. Kill you dead.
Now, Aaron, I know you're thinking, where my gift at? And I'll tell you, your gift is taking longer to manufacture than originally anticipated. And your gift will be in your hands by the end of September. But I've heard from the maker of said gift that it's taken a little bit longer to get out the door. So hang tight. Hang tight. You will be impressed.
Here's what I hope it is. Okay. I watched the Helix documentary last night. In fact, that's why I missed your stream. And so what I hope that you're bringing me, hopefully you're having this manufactured as one of those yak hair full
jacket.
Body like Yeti suits. That's what I'm after.
I feel like
can't
you
play
could
bass
really
guitar,
rock one of
but
those things.
I'll play Rock Band in it.
Yeah.
You know,
that
I
would
love
be great.
that, by the way.
I'll be that little frog man percussionist, gymnast, and flipping around all over the place.
That was quite an interesting video. I recommend that if you haven't seen it.
I mean, it's always amazing to me that people that are, I don't consider Defunctland to be a small time player, but I mean, he's definitely not a major motion picture studio production house, but the quality of that documentary was really, really good.
If you watch his series, it's unbelievably well done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his most recent couple years have been outstanding. So when you told me he'd made a full-on documentary, I wasn't terribly surprised. I will say this: that I didn't think there'd be enough there for a documentary, but there absolutely was. Great documentary.
Yeah.
So I recommend that. It's about if you look up Disney and Helix, it will almost certainly come up. Or just look up.
I don't think isn't it Halix? Isn't it Halix?
Well, yeah, but if you listen to the show, they pronounce it about 10 different ways.
True.
Helix,
and the guy behind the band was like, "This is the lamest name that's ever been created."
I thought that was a cool name, and the way that chick pronounced it in concert, she sounded great. I loved it. That chick could go. I'll give her credit.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. All right, Aaron.
Oh, by the way, we should tell them what we're talking about, Bo, because a couple people are asking.
Oh, okay. So anyway, this is a documentary. If you go to the YouTube channel Defunctland, this is a guy that has a whole YouTube channel devoted to closed amusement park attractions. So like probably the most famous one is like Captain EO in Disney World, but there's a billion of these things, like, because they were Disney World and all, it's mostly Disney World, but I think it's other parks too. They're constantly phasing in and out new rides and new attractions, and some of them were just wacky. And so what this guy does is he goes through and he tells the story of how these things got made, how they succeeded or how they failed. And it's an incredible channel if you're into amusement parks, if you're into history, if you're into pop culture. Check it out.
Yeah, and if you're going to watch any episode, there's one I believe it was called Adventureland or something like that. It was in New Jersey. It was a water park. That's the one that had the water park that had the loop, the slide with the loop in it, where the guy designed it on a napkin at lunch. And this is definitely worth checking out.
Yeah. All right, Aaron, it's time to jump right into Roadkill.
All right, man. Bo, when this one came up on the docket last week, I know you were excited. All AGA all the time, Boat. And so these are right up your alley. So let's talk about this particular game. Now, this had an Amiga 1200 and a CD32 release. I played them both, to be honest with you. I played the 1200 version the most. I'm assuming, did you try both of them, Bo, when you played this? Or
I
did you just
played
try
both the CD32 and the 1200.
Did
The
you
only
see a
thing that's
difference?
different is the A1200 version does not have the intro that we're watching right now.
Yeah.
There's a really nicely rendered intro. It's probably one of the best CGI intros I've ever seen on the Amiga. In fact, I mean, it is very well done.
It's long too.
But after that, the two versions are exactly the same.
Yeah, that's what before we get fully into this, I wanted to go on record here. I'm going to go on the assumption that there was some sort of CD streamed music on the CD32 version. Have you heard anything? Yes or no?
There's not. There's a YouTube playthrough of the CD32 version, and it is it has the music. Somebody's piped in the music, but when you play the game, there is no game and there is no in-game music. We'll
get into that then. So this came out in '94, Boat. You've got if you're playing on the 1200, you've got the 3 discs here. And yes, in fact, this was an AGA only release. So gutsy, I guess would be the way I would do it. This was developed by Vision. Vision did a ton of Amiga stuff. I wouldn't have guessed they'd done this stuff. I'm trying to look through here to see if there's anything here that we've ever covered. Prime Mover.
I know there is. They're an Australian outfit. I remember seeing that logo.
Prime Mover is the one that comes up. Also, they did the Dragon's Lair games as well. So they did several that we've looked at, and was published by Acid Software, which I think we've looked at stuff that they did. So they must have, Skid Marks. I knew I recognized their name. This was coded by Paul Andrews. Now, Paul Andrews is a name that we've heard before too. He worked on Cybernetics, the first battle. He worked on Seek and Destroy and Zombie Apocalypse 1 and 2. So I didn't recognize his name too. It's weird, Bo. My brain's tapioca, but every once in a while I remember something.
Mm-hmm.
The graphics, Rodney Smith and Grant Wallace, and the musician Blair Zapishish. Now, we were just talking about the music. I want to start with that right away. I thought when this game had a tune, it was a good tune. The music in the opening was cool, and the music that would play occasionally was cool, and the music at the end of the game was cool. So it's a real bummer to me that there was no. I was sure there was going to be some sort of CD-based music. So that's kind of a bummer on that. Anyway, I digress. What is this game? Well, Roadkill is your over-the-top, overhead view racer, where you are competing with other racers on a track of death boat. You get to pick, I believe, from 1 of 6 cars, and you are pitted against other racers on a track that has occasionally will have landmines. It has spikes. It has other racers. Everyone's armed with missiles and all sorts of crazy stuff. You go around a track in a standard way, and you complete laps. And once you've completed all the laps, just like a race, you win or you lose. You can also get bonuses based on how many people you kill. It will affect how much money you earn for each of the races. Bo, what were your initial impressions on this when it came up?
Pretty positive, actually. I thought that the game was I was very impressed, like I said, with the intro. The car select screen looks really good. It's also fully rendered. And moving into the first race, I thought that the game was quite nice, quite beautiful.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you, Boat. I'll be honest with you. I was not expecting much. Why? Why was I not expecting much?
Because
I don't know
this is
why.
the Amigos, Aaron. You're playing Amiga games. You got to set your expectations, where they should.
No, that's not true. Don't be a troll, Boat. It's just that this is a game I had heard of. I think I may have played it, but it's not. I don't remember. It's not a game where I heard a lot of people talking about it or anything. And so I just guess I didn't expect much. And it came up, the cool intro, the cool car select. I like the fact you get to select a car. Now the main menu is, I wouldn't say it's not option heavy, but it lets you pick your difficulty level. It also has an option to change your joystick, but for me, it never went off CD32 joystick. I don't know. Did you try changing your controls?
I never tried changing the stick, so I don't know.
I can never change it, so I don't know if it was just detecting what I had as a CD32 controller. Which is good because it did let me use the other buttons. If you're using a proper controller, CD32, you actually get a button for acceleration. Then you've got a button to shoot your stuff, and then you can also choose between automatic and standard manual transmission. I always picked automatic, but if you're playing with a manual transmission, you can use the shoulder buttons on the CD32 pad to switch your gears. So which is nice. Not too bad. In terms of the way the game looks when you actually play it, heck, it came up, and I thought it looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest with you, the roads look cool.
If you look at the layout of the HUD, HUD is very well done. I mean, it gives you all the information that you need. It gives you your position. It gives you the lap. It gives you your lap times. The money that you've earned. That's the top. On the bottom, you have your speedometer, the gears, the damage that you've taken, and then on the lower right, you've got a mini map. So, I mean, this is as modern, as up to date a HUD as you could possibly wish for.
Yeah, in fact, we've played a lot of these games where you kind of have it's this sort of game on the Amiga. And what's the one? Micro Machines.
There's a lot of them. Skid Marks, right, Micro Machines.
The reason I bring up Micro Machines is one of the problems I had with it was so zoomed in. I could never tell what was coming up. I just had trouble, staying on the road. This game, I mean, you're in pretty tight in this game, but they do two things that I really appreciate. The mini map is solid. I mean, it really is, and it's in a good spot. And secondly, the way they label the road, you get enough notice to know what you're doing, and there's a rhythm to it. If you see two turn arrows, you know after that second one is normally when your turn's going to be. Sometimes you'll have three, and occasionally you'll just have one. But I mean, my point is, once you've went around, because you can have a practice lap before you actually go and play the game, which is also great. Once you go around once and you see how the arrows are laid out, it didn't, for someone like myself who has struggled in these sorts of games before, I didn't have as much trouble in this one because I found the road easier to read between the map and the markings on the road. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And they even mark where the power ups are going to be to a certain degree. They'll have like for example, they'll have a long row of little tiny arrows, and at the end of that there'll probably be a power up. Stuff like that.
Yeah, this is the best way you can mark a course in a game like this. I'm not, Micro Machines has a lot of problems. And I don't think that putting arrows on the course would solve Micro Machines' problems.
Right.
It certainly wouldn't hurt. And in a top-down racer that's as zoomed in as this game is, you have to have that. Between that and the mini-map, I never felt like the course was getting away from me. I always felt like I could navigate the course. And another thing that we should mention is that this is one of the only games that I've ever played on any platform that allows you to have a practice lap before you start. That says, hey, get the lay of the land, take a practice lap just for fun. Then once you swing around, we'll start the race for real.
I love that. I did vaguely mention it, but yes, having a lap where you just go around, there's no enemies. In fact, one thing you can do is, because the power-ups and stuff are all laid out, so you could sort of get an idea, okay, here's a power-up for missiles, here's a speed-up, etc. And here's a ramp. And it gives you a good way to go when you start, because one thing about starting these levels without any sort of prep is that you just go in blind. And now once you play the game a dozen times, well, then maybe you'll have it memorized. But for me, I love that. So yes, absolutely, I love that aspect of it. When you do the game for real with other players, you're in with other guys that can damage you, just like a proper overhead racer. But this one has armaments now, and they're not sort of like what was it? Skid Marks is the one that had also had
no, that
missiles.
was Supercars 2.
Supercars, that's right. But that didn't really make much sense. I mean, this makes a lot more sense because the whole road is set up to kill you. There's spikes and stuff everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, this is set in a dystopian future where it's like a Mad Max type thing. And Supercars, it made no sense at all. So
right. So when you play this, your weapons are sort of a pivotal part. Now, I always use the weapons. I'm guessing that you used them too, right? You didn't abstain from using the weapons.
Oh, yeah, I use the weapons all the time.
Yeah, because they work great.
Yeah.
The missiles are good. You've got different power-ups in this. There's and these are just labeled on the track like with letters, basically. There's speed-ups, which does the obvious. There's a power-up for traction that keeps you from sliding. We'll get to sliding in a minute. There's super armor. There's a power up that make it so you deflect other guys' missiles. There's armor power up. Of course, you get rockets and missiles, and then there's also money. So there's a goodly amount of stuff to get. Now, the funny thing is, when I was playing this, I didn't exactly know what I was picking up every time, because I did find the symbols kind of hard to read. Did you have that issue?
Well, it's not that I found them hard to read. It's just that they go by on the screen so quickly.
Yeah. That's exactly what I mean. I mean, they were tough. I just sort of went over them. I could usually see the missile one because it was sort of looked like two little missiles. But
to the game's credit, they don't put any like poison mushrooms in here. Like everything that you can pick up is going to be good for you. So they don't put anything to try and trick you. If they would have done that, that would have been really, really a downer.
Yeah, and they've also got stuff like first aid is out there, and super versions of the other stuff. There's also stuff you can hit that hurts you. Of course, there's plenty of places that have spikes or ram walls or just crap. Sometimes they'll just stick stuff out in the middle of the course. There's cannons occasionally. Some of the stuff I didn't even see. There's speed bumps. I don't think I ever came across one of those. So there's mines. There's a bunch of stuff that can hose you, because in this game your car takes damage And if your car gets damaged too much, it'll explode and your race will be over. Now, the counter to that is, of course, the pits, which was kind of a neat addition. Having the pits up the ability, because when your car's damaged, it'll tell you, and the car will start smoking and stuff, and so you can go into your pit and stop in there. And you can also kill people in the pits, which is always entertaining. Did you pit much when you were playing?
Never. I figured that by the time that I got out of the pits, I would be so far behind I would be able to catch up.
I found this game it's not the easiest game, but I found most of the time when I lost was because I got confused on the track. So let's talk about the actual driving of the car. This game takes a different route when it comes to the control of your vehicle. And what I mean by that is sometimes if you get turned around, you can bounce around the course like a freaking pinball. And I would say that is probably the game's most annoying feature. It's it gives you a reason to go and get those traction power-ups if you can find them. But the crashes in this, you don't really crash unless you die. You actually just bounce around and spin around, and it's real. I didn't like that much. What did you think about the way that went down?
I found that to be sort of a unique thing. I didn't see anything wrong with it, because the thing is, the enemy cars react the same way. So it's very satisfying to go around a curve, hit an enemy car, make him go into a spin out, hit him with a missile or whatever. Now, did it make the game easy? No. Is it super easy to control? No. But I didn't think that it was a game breaker. I didn't feel like it got in my way. The biggest thing that got in my way was just the difficulty of the other racers. I had a hard time finishing first, even on the first course in this game.
Right. Personally, I thought the pinball stuff was. You could get in one tight squeeze and you're. Bummed.
Oh yeah, I think that's true, but that's true in a lot of different. A lot of racing games, you can get in a certain place on the course and you can just be screwed. So,
well, I don't mind a spin out, for example, or even a little bump on the wall. But this thing, you could literally bing back and forth like you're between two pop bumpers, and I didn't like that. Yeah. So I wouldn't say it was a deal breaker, but the deal was damaged when that would happen. They put in little touches that I like. Occasionally in the track, you'll come across a part that's like a grid work, and it looks really good. You can sort of see through it. There are 4 different areas, and I think each has 3 tracks. And they don't. I wouldn't say they look. There's really not much visual difference between the 4.
The tracks are very subtle differences.
Yeah.
But the game. It's like all of these tracks are set up real high in the air, and you're trying to overcome them.
The level that you've got: Turbo Death Challenge, Maximum Overkill Grand Prix, the Badlands Mega Smash, and the Roadkill Eliminator. Those are the 4 levels, and each one of those has tracks in it. And like I said, the tracks get progressively more complicated as you go through, and eventually you're getting into the tracks, much like supercars that we mentioned earlier, where you're going back upon itself, and there's crosses and stuff, and you're going to hit racers going the other way and stuff. Plus, on top of that, you've got all your additional track, your different track targets and stuff that can come up and get you. I think this game is a pretty decent game. However, because we've praised it pretty much, I do have some problems with it. Except for the ping pong. To me, this seems like a game where they had a good game here. It's funny, they did the hard part, and then they dropped the ball on everything else. If there is no in-game music, not just because we don't have a CD or whatever, then that's a huge mistake, because the music in this was good. Secondly, you've got no multiplayer at all, which is, no multiplayer, no network multiplayer, or nothing. That's kind of a bummer. Other games have done it. I'd like to have seen some multiplayer, some split screen or something. This is the CD32. Crank up the muscle on this thing. Let's see some of that. I think that's a big oversight, because I think this is a multiplayer game. Could be awesome. It's got everything you need here to be a really cool multiplayer game. I read the manual for this. The manual is real sparse. Like, you don't know what's going on. You don't know a backstory. You don't know jack squat. I watched the end of the game, and that the announcer that's in the game, I think his name is Satan Starr. And I guess you're on some sort of like futuristic game show or something. But I mean, there's nothing. They don't really flesh any of that out, which that's kind of lazy. The lack of change in the courses visually is kind of a bummer. So that was kind of a letdown. I guess what I'm saying is this looks like something that they were like, well, it's 1993 or whatever, and this is going out in the AGA machines. We're probably going to die a death. We're not going to spend anything more than we have to get this out the door. What did you think, Bode?
Yeah, this is one of those rare instances when I agree with you. They did all the hard work.
That is rare.
Everything was in place for a really spectacular game. They made a good engine. They made a good setting. The tracks look good. The other cars look good. And it was like somebody just said, all right, well, we're just going to ship it as is instead of just going that last 10 or 15% to really making this good. For example, you're collecting all this money. It doesn't mean anything. Why can't you upgrade your car? Why can't you enter a shop like freaking Ivan Stewart's Iron Man from 1985?
Yeah. That was stunning to me that you would get all this money, and they give you money for like getting the fastest lap on that track. Or other, and you'd think that the money you could do something with it,
right?
Or maybe a gambling something.
If you're on a game show, why do you only feature the announcer at the very beginning of the game and never see him again until the end credits, where he just says, "Take care and be safe"? Why don't you have a story about your hero working his way up through the ranks and having a little cutscene? Again, we're talking about the CD32. Make a little pre-rendered thing with the announcer, give you an update with what's going on in the story. Why don't you see the background of your racer when you go to the vehicle select screen? That would be something incredibly easy to do that would give you some way of saying, hey, what I'm doing makes a difference here. What you've got is a racing game that is adequate, but it's only about an inch deep.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like they were working on something, and then they realized that this was going to release to a very limited audience.
Yeah.
And they were like, all right, we're done with this. Again, with the money, I like that. Plus, there's an aspect of this we haven't touched on, which is the jackpots that you earn. You can go through if you get enough kills on a level, you can set off. It's almost like a pinball machine, because every time you complete a level and the jackpot doesn't get taken, it goes up. So you can kill enough guys to get the jackpot up, and that means if you kill one more guy, you get the jackpot money. And then occasionally, if it'll tell you to get the super jackpot, and if you kill one more guy, you'll get the super jackpot. I like that. I like because I like the idea that it's giving you a reason to go out and kill all these guys. But what's a more effective and previously done way to do that is like you said, to have a storyline. Hey, someone comes up to you before the race, we'll give you X amount of dollars to take out number 12, or whatever, or Timmy, whoever it is. Mm-hmm. There's no surroundings to this game. It's just a race and repeat. And so what happens? No matter how good you make the game, ultimately it starts to get kind of boring because there's no. I mean, stuff like that sort of artificial sweetener. I mean, but it still makes it sweeter.
Yeah, and it's not as if these guys had to think up any of these concepts. All these concepts had been done in tons of games before that. I mean, the racing genre is the most well-worn genre in video game history. All they'd have to do is say, hey, what are some of the cool things that we've liked in other games? Why don't we stick those in there? That's all they'd have to do.
I agree. It's funny, Boat, that because here we are, because I know you love to rag on the AGA, but we both agree this is an attractive game. It's got its own style.
And it definitely, you can definitely tell it's an AGA game. I mean, all the colors are there. Everything is good.
It's smooth. Mm-hmm. The like I said, the scenes where they go over the bridge where you can see through it, they look real nice. It's so why can't we get the rest? It's just another, listen, hey, we're right. It's the book that's already written. Why did this thing not do well? Well, I mean, here you had a game that was, amongst the CD32 games, this is probably one of the better offerings we've looked at, but they just couldn't quite go all the way with it, and it's a real bummer. I looked at some of the scores that this received, and it's funny. I think these scores are sort of very much in line with what we would probably score at both. Amiga Format reviewed this in August of '95. So this is the same year it came out. It got an 80%. The Amiga Power number 52 gave this a 79%. CU Amiga gave us an 85, and the One gave this an 83. So these scores are right in the middle. Now, That was for the A1200 version, and of course Lemon gives that one a score of 8.09. So what are we seeing here? A lot of 80s, And I'd say this is a game that you'll give an 80 that should have gotten a 90 if they'd put a little bit more effort into it.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of those scores are based on, for example, if you're looking at this as a Amiga owner.
Yeah.
And you're looking for a modern-looking top-down racer, then this is an 80. As long as you don't look outside the platform, this is really good. This is really good. And the games that are top-down racers that are from before then, like your skid marks and all those things, those don't look as nice as this. They don't play as smooth as this. And of course, they're not AGA games. So you've got to if you just bought an AGA machine, you need something to justify that purchase.
Yeah, and I will say now, I'm talking about the CD32 version, okay, as I look over these scores. Listen to this. This is strange to me, Boat. But remember you always say that the CD32 they use kid gloves when they fool with it. And maybe you're right. So here are the scores for the CD32 version. We're assuming that with the exception of the opening, it's the same. Amiga CD32 Gamer, the most doomed magazine ever, gave. By the way, I should mention again, this came out in '94 for the CD32 and '95 for the regular Amigas. So CD32 Gamer gave it a 93%. Amiga Computing gave it an 87. Now Amiga Format 75, Amiga Power 84, right about the same. CU Amiga 85. And the one gave it a 90. So you're getting better scores. Now, granted, this was a year earlier, but for effectively the same game. And even the Lemon Amiga crowd gives it a better score at 8.29. So did we get any Discord action on this one, Bo?
We did. We got a ton of Discord action on this.
All right. Let her fly.
Jason Warrens leads things off. He says, Dynamite, 8 out of 10.
That's all you need to know.
Pixels at Dawn writes, this is definitely a game of two halves. It runs like absolute butter and is good looking and colorful, but the track and background tiles change very little throughout the game, and realistically it's only the track designs that provide variety. Sound sample and musical stabs are great, but in-game music is sadly missing. The gameplay is fun, although the minimap is essential for navigating the course, and even on easy it can be easy to get destroyed before completing the race. The AI can play quite dirty, although it's a positive to have challenging opponents. Extra points for allowing a practice run on each track. Multiplayer conspicuous by omission. Overall, an average racer, 6.5 out of 10. Frodo NL writes, this should be my kind of game, but somehow it just doesn't work for me. While the graphics are good, after a few levels, what is most noticeable is the sameness. The sound is quite good, but again, no in-game music. If this had been a multiplayer game, it might have been more interesting. As it is, though, I find this an average game at best, 5 out of 10. Graham W. Vebke writes, I love top-down games across many genres, and I have a soft spot for great top-down racing games. Unfortunately, this isn't even close. Sure, the graphics are fine and the scrolling is smooth, but that's where it ends. A top-down racer needs to have great track designs, responsive controls, and fair playability. This has none of that. Every single track has 90-degree corners for every corner. The visible area of the track compared to the scale on the screen gives you such a small field of view. Don't expect anything useful looking at that minimap thing either. The playability stink with cheating AI, and it feels they added weapons with pickups as an afterthought. I could have forgiven those issues if the controls didn't feel like you were controlling a pinball and a sheet of ice. Bumper bouncing on the side of tracks is no fun. I'd rather cut my lawn with nail clippers than play this again. 3 out of 10.
Burial.
Chris Foltz writes, racing games are my favorite, and top-down isometric racers like supercars and skid marks are some of my fondest gaming memories. This game, however, clearly falls in the also-ran category. Sloppy controls, boring, and dare I say it, dull track design and graphics. No in-game music, but instead annoying, loud jingles that do little to enhance the experience. The whole thing feels all too zoomed in, also requiring you to use the next useless minimap or remember the track. Also, as the mighty Graham brought up, what planet were they on when they introduced pinball-style reactions to touching the side? Also, why AGA? It doesn't look or sound fancy. A disappointing 4 out of 10. And finally, Paul, a.k.a. Hermsky. He writes, a Herm Firm, 6 out of 10. A fun game at the start that got a bit repetitive after a while. It does take a few goes to master the game mechanics and to learn track layouts, however. Using the minimap does help somewhat. The limited area of vision all adds to the drama. Try driving at 200 miles per hour through the crest of Al Rouge at Spa without practice. Car controls are far too arcade-like for me, but still an entertaining game, but missed a trick by not making this a two-player game. SpongeBob tied to a skateboard.
Man. Burial City.
Yeah. So Discord,
they hated it a lot more than we did.
They hated it a lot more than we did. Yeah.
I took the chance to look this up on eBay, Boat, just in case one might be interested. So you've got 3 basic flavors of this. Okay, you've got the big box Amiga CD32 version, which is the big box with the CD jewel case and whatnot in it. I've seen that one go as little as 50 and upwards. Those big box Amiga CD32 kits are kind of hard to find. The Amiga 1200 version is pretty cheap when you can find it. Here's one that went just this month for less than $8 in the UK. Of course, these are all in the UK. And then I've seen the CD version just in the jewel case with the paper in there, and that one's going in somewhere in the middle of between 15 and 30. So there's 3 different flavors of this if you're so inclined. I will say the box art looks nice. It looks halfway decent. Getting back to what those guys mentioned, I mean, listen, one of the things about this game, if you can't stomach that ping pong thing, I could see where you're out, right, just on that. But a lot of people mentioned not having to get any use out of the mini map. I actually used it quite a bit, but I didn't even need it that much because of the way the track was marked. But I mean, once those tracks get more complicated, the ping pong thing becomes more annoying because you hit the wall a lot more. So I can understand people's frustration.
If you're trying to negotiate some of those round the bend type, I mean, they're almost like roundabouts that you have to go through.
Yeah, exactly.
To me, that and putting those things in a track is just it's inexcusable in this day and age where you can have a bigger map to begin with. I mean, back in the old days, you might put things like in the track and things, to if you only had a set amount of tiles you could use. But again, they were working with the CD32 and the Amiga 1200. They could have made bigger tracks.
Well, I think that tracks are. I don't think that. I think that's part of the fun is going around those things because you're more apt to hit the other racers. What I'd like to see is like this graphics and engine sort of combined with what Supercars had. And because I thought Supercars handled better, but I mean this is a beautiful. I think unlike these guys, I thought the graphics were for what it was. Yeah, most time you're seeing road, but I thought it was nice and smooth and looked real good. So but again, overall, I mean I think we're all sort of in the same area there. It a missed opportunity, Boat.
Yeah. All right, Aaron. Well, as we wind things down today, I just want to remind everybody that if you are interested in watching us live on Twitch, we record the show every Friday at around 4, although next week we may actually that might not be true anymore. I got to see what time I'm going to be rolling in from school with this new schedule, but we will it'll be on Friday evening at some point, so just watch out, subscribe to us or follow us on Twitch, and you can be notified when we go live. But we want to thank the folks that are supporting us on Twitch. We got Old B Sturgeon, Real Joe the Zombie, Frodo NL, Jigglebox, Christian Russell, Great Owl G, Buck Owens, Retro Jerry, Demoto Wylack, Still Adolescing, Lamatsta, Chris Folds, David Z. N. Finks, Mitsuyama, Wing Chun Wolf, Go To Go Sub, Picard 2010, and Rushi MSX. Thank you guys for subscribing to us on Twitch. Any support you can give the show, we appreciate, whether it's subscribing on Twitch or supporting us on Patreon. We even have a PayPal option if you go to everythingamiga.com/support. That really does really help us keep this show moving week after week after week for almost 270 weeks straight. We haven't missed a week since 2015, Aaron.
That's unbelievable to me. Yeah, it's unbelievable. That's the biggest commitment I've ever had in my life, period.
Yeah, me too. I've been doing this longer than I've done anything else in my life, ever. So, Aaron, and of course, the Patreon song. Last week, this was one that was a popular one. Lots of people got it. It was "I've Had the Time of My Life" by I don't even know who it's by, but it's from Dirty Dancing, right? Isn't that where it was from? So anyway, Rob O'Hara got that one. Frodo NL, Barkbit, Pix, Mitsuyama, and Paul Marfleet. Thank you guys so much. And of course, our Patreons. If you know this week's Patreon song, feel free to send me an email at john@amigospodcast.com. Remember, $1 a month gives you access to our Discord server, and you can leave reviews there, which we read on the air. It's just a great group of guys. You get access to some, whenever we get access to Amiga honey holes like we had in California, Discord folks get the first dibs on that sort of thing. And, of course, $4 a month, $1 an episode gets you as part of the elite, the part of the list.
Something you just mentioned was the honey hole. Before you go into your big singing bit here, I should mention this because I was stunned. Our good buddy, who was our man out there, it was Dave Pickford. This guy was a star. He's the guy that went and picked up the software we got out there. Then he effectively distributed it to everyone, and including myself. Dave told me that he has finally, he has sent out or sold the last of that honey hole. So that is, you can put that one to bed, Bode. I wanted to express my appreciation for him for helping us out. Really, if without him, that wouldn't have been possible. So we appreciate you. And one more quick thing in line with what you're saying about $1 a month. Another thing that your $1 a month will get you is access to International Computer Club, which is coming up in nary a couple weeks. So if you're interested in participating in that, there's a sign-up sheet in the Discord for International Computer Club, and everyone is welcome to attend.
Awesome. We look forward to that on Twitch. I'm really looking forward to seeing our inaugural episode. And so anyway, let's just launch right into it. So if you know this one, john@amigospodcast.com. Since we got these new microphones this week, Aaron, I can get right up in it.
Oh, Lord.
Frag Lord 6620, cello code, Mark Byland, Olaf Hope, Hermski Jonah, a.k.a. Simulant, Jeremy Jones, Ethan Little, Alien Breeder, but Dave, the Velociraptor, Calbert, Boy Lane Denson, Luke Hudson, John Cook, Bomb the Bass Roshi, Frodo in O'Solin, Sizer, Techmate Jurgen, Mr. Cola, Daniel Williams, Bernard Lucas, Jerry Dennington, Zorglub, Commodore Kid, Reflection, Simon Ledge, Captain Crispy, Kilobytes and Caffeine, Gary Heather, Free Lunch, Kate Fox, David Pickford, Cameron Armstrong, Andy Jones, Lobsterminator, 10-minute Amiga Retrocast, Bernard Quinn, Retro Man Cave, Tim Drew, Simon Rose, Joseph Harrison, Kyle Letter, Rob O'Hara, Matthew Larimore, Andy Craig, Shanzo, Bachbit, Roland Burke, Andrew Monks, Joe the Zombie, Leaf, Kellan, Allen, Kebab, Chicote, Lev Lord, John Marshall, Matthew Perron, Ricky DeRoche, Creepy Dead Boy, Biggie CTC, The Slow, Norris, Stefan, Sorgon, Mortensen, Evan Hurland, Lindo 75, Christopher Hassel, Rabbit Abbott, Chris Volts, Dreamcatcher, Lauren Giroux, Graham Debke, Adam Batter, O'Brien's Retro and Vintage, Adam Battersby, Gary Hooker, Boss Man Harrington, Duncan Styles, tapes from the crib, Josh Nan, Adam Bradley, Jonas Rouleau, THT, Eric Nelson, Kim Tommy, Humbush, Daniel Bingston, Brutal Barracuda, Darren Coles, Jason Ward's Pixels at Dawn, and Kjolbjorn Barman.
That was great, Boat. You sounded like you were in a recording studio.
Well, I am. That's what this
in
is.
the 20s. Hideous. Horrible. I have no idea what you were singing there.
Thank you. So, Aaron, next week, we're going to do Amigos again. I figured we'd try and do 2 in a row this time. Next week,
good idea.
We're going to be playing Pac-Mania.
Yes.
This is another Paul, a.k.a. Hermsky, thing. Joint,
yes,
if you will. And you can join, again, another benefit of being on the Amigos Retro Gaming Discord server is that you have access to the Amigos High Score competition, which is going on right now in Pac-Mania.
Yeah, get in there.
Right now, just to give you an update, BarkBit holding a commanding lead with 1,424,480. Though Picard 2010 and Bomb the Base are coming on strong, you still have a shot. We've got one more week before we announce the winner. And thanks again to Paul A.K. Hermsky for running the high score competition.
You know, we've got some top shelf players that have assembled in the Discord.
Yeah,
some real good players. I mean, you got your Buck Owens and you got all those guys. They're all great.
Yeah.
You know, Paul's no slouch. You got tons of good guys. You know, but it seems like I've tried this game. It's a game that I never really played. I think I've played this on every conceivable console and computer now.
Well, you should probably give it at least one more shot because not only are you last, but you're last by a considerable margin.
Well, hold the phone. See, this is all preparation for my triumphant rise to the top.
Okay.
Now I'm ready.
I like it. All right, Aaron. Before we say goodbye, I think that I should make you visible on the screen once again. There we go. And we should thank all the fine folks that have joined us live in chat today. We've got quite the crowd. We'd like to start off by thanking our chat moderators. We'd like to welcome our newest Twitch moderator, Duncan Styles, to the mod party.
He does it all.
And we also want to give him an extra special shout out for doing such a great job for promoting all of our stuff all over social media. Thank you, Duncan. You are the
social media czar.
Yeah. And of course, we want to thank the stalwart Pixels at Dawn Gaming. Check out his streams. He's streaming Thief these days.
Yeah, I was watching it. I was watching it the other day, and his streams are all. He's getting a good crowd over there. He's doing great.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah. And we want to thank all the fine folks that have joined us in the chat right now, live. We got Tinmark, another TT viewer, Anthony Roberts, Adam Barkbit, Bitstorm, Brock 101, Buck Owens, C64 Rules, Commander Root, Dedicating Lurking 9 to 5, Dinu, Duke L. Hudson, Edvin Helland, Frodo NL, Hermsky, Hey, is it in yet? Jason Warrens, Koopkit Kerbal, L. Curtis B., Lurks, Macintosh Librarian, Mitsuyama, M. Kelly 0904, Olaf Hope, Paul Kitching, Picard 2010, Polyester Links, Remastino, Rob O'Hara, Cyriliu, The Devil Bunny, B&K, Vigoro Pros, Wishbone, and Z9K9.
Very good. Good crowd, Boat.
Yeah.
That's a good crowd right there.
Absolutely.
And all of them quality people.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week on Amigos. Aaron, you are not going to be streaming tonight, correctly?
I'm afraid not. I've got company in town. Unless we go crazy later. You never know, Boat.
With Leroy
it's
in
crazy
town,
time.
You may need to do one of those late-night drunken meme streams again. I know you guys are famous for that.
You know, Uncle Larry has appeared via the old fighting game stream. It did gangbuster numbers, Boat, and by that I mean it tankaroo. So you never know. But if we do, it'll probably be a late one.
You shot that out in the arcade. It can be forgiven.
Oh, man. That's one of those ones. It didn't get released. It escaped.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you next week. Until then, adios. Yeah, Mitsuyama almost went off the deep end there. I was trying to after last night where we had several risque names in the Twitch chat. I'm trying to read and process before things get out of hand.
Yeah, that one, double entendre, and by double I mean a single entendre. So
well, the problem is that we've tried pop filters before and they don't seem to work. Aaron's got one, and I've got one, and I've used it before. But I think what we need to get is actually some foam thingies.
Pop filter.
Yeah.
Boat. Did it work?
The poom yeah, we're
like a big lollipop.
Yeah, sit it on there. Let's do a quick chat. We'll see if
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Pope. The Pope picks peppers. Get anything? Pop.
Yeah,
Pop goes the world.
You're still popping. We'll
Men Without Hats, Bode. That's a good album too, by the way.
Yeah, so I'll order some foam bits for sure to make that less of an issue next time. And, of course, I'll try and fix that in the audio version as well, too. So, yeah. So, if you, I won't be streaming this evening, but if you want to check out my stream from last night, if you didn't get a chance, I streamed an hour and a half of Tandy Color Computer. So, feel free to check that out. And
if I stream tonight, it's going to be Amiga. I can tell you that right now. Because it's easiest.
When in your life would you ever have said that before the Amiga?
Whoops! I broke my doodad, or at least injured it. Yeah, no kidding. Amiga, by the way. You know, Edu has sent me a update on the Amiga. The gimmick should be coming here soon and let me play all this other crap on the Amiga. So that'll be nice. You know, I'm looking forward to that. Although, guess what he said? Remember when we watched that 10 mark and he's like, "Yep, I got to get the old USB blaster." Well, guess what I got to get, Boat?
The old USB blaster.
Yeah, I'm not happy about that.
Hey, man,
frankly.
When you sign up for new hardware, you sign up. You know what new hardware stands for? Bust out another 1,000.
Well, I mean, the thing's only like $6, but it's the principle of the thing, Boat.
You just keep on spending. I'll keep on emulating.
Yeah, and I wouldn't do it if it wasn't for the fact that I was getting Next and MSX. That the Next, you know me, I want to play some Speccarini.
I am interested to see the next stuff for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, right on. All right. Wham Bam Bob's your uncle. It's a done deal. Let's put this sucker to bed, Boatster.
All right. We'll see you guys later.
Thanks, everybody.